Today on the kickback.
My freshman year, I would definitely say I peaked my freshman year. I don't think I've had as much fun in my life as I had my freshman year. The novelty of coming to a new environment where you have the freedom to do things that you just could not do before. Like, even if you can go out at home, you still have to come home. You have to like slap yourself, look sober when you come home. Like when you come home in college, you just have to make sure you're alive. Like it's like you have the absolute independence to do whatever you want.
What's up, what's up, what's up? It's your girl Dom and welcome back to the kickback. Today we have 8 upperclassmen Ivy League students here to tell us about what they wish they knew their freshman year. If you missed the last episode, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Domonique_Cynthia. Turn on my story notifications so you don't miss out on the opportunity to call into the next kickback. You get to shout out your name, your Instagram, and also ask a question directly to the cast. So make sure you follow me on Instagram so you don't miss out on this opportunity. This week's cast, joining me at the kickback are Giancarlo from Yale University, Sobit from Brown University, Laura from Princeton University, Risa from Cornell University, Drake from Harvard University, Sophia from Dartmouth College, Sahithya from the University of Pennsylvania, and Addis from Columbia University. So let's go ahead and head to the kickback. Hello guys, and welcome to the kickback. We have a new cast here today to tell us a little bit about what they wish they knew their freshman year. They are all upperclassmen, which was intentional, so they have a lot of good little tips to give you guys. So first I'm going to start off with them introducing themselves, starting with Yale.
I'm Giancarlo. I'm from Naples, Florida. I'm a rising junior at Yale, and I'm studying molecular biology.
Hi, my name is Sobit Singh Arora. I'm a rising senior at Brown University. I study political science and modern culture and media, and my home is New Delhi.
Hi everyone, my name is Risa. I'm a rising junior at Cornell studying government, international relations, and psychology, and I'm from Utah.
What's good? My name is Drake Johnson. I'm a rising junior at Harvard studying government and African American studies from California.
Hey guys, I'm Laura Larkin. I'm from Princeton, hometown Solana Beach, California. I'm a rising junior studying history.
Hey, I'm Sahithya. I'm a rising senior at Penn studying finance and marketing, and I'm originally from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Hi everyone, I'm Sophia. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and I am a rising senior at Dartmouth studying geography.
What's up everyone? I'm Addis. I'm a rising junior at Columbia University studying financial engineering, and I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
So the first thing I'm going to have us do is a little game I made. The game is called Freshman Year Recap. So basically how the game works is I have a list of questions. And I know we are all older here, so we're going to have to try to remember freshman year. All your guesses are guesses, so they can be rough estimates. But I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I'm going to tell you either it's a thumbs up or thumbs down question or a number question. So you'll put the number up on your hands. My first question is, this is a number. How many parties do you think you went to in total your freshman year? So you can like blink the number. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of blinks. Brown. How many hours did you study for your first final freshman year?
All my finals were paper, so I didn't study. I just was reading. But I was in the library for like an insane amount of time.
Okay. So on your first final or first paper, what did you get for your grade? I guess I meant more the number, but this works. So I see one C, I see a lot of A's. Okay, smart kids. How many clubs did you apply to your freshman year? Wow, Dartmouth is a lot. Okay, and Harvard's a lot. Okay, and then how many clubs did you get into your freshman year? Okay. How much money do you think you spent on Ubers?
Does that include Uber Eats?
Oh, yes.
Probably like 200 including travel to the airport.
Probably like 300, 350 for me.
Yeah, I'd probably spend like 100 going to the train and like Uber Eats.
Probably like 300 for me.
I think 200 for me.
Probably between like 50 and 100 for me.
There's no Uber in Hanover, so 0.
Yeah, I guess like 100, 150 would be way high, I think.
Okay, cool. So now you've gotten into the school, you're in a group chat, you're hyped, you're ready to leave home. For some people, just to like switch coasts even, or switch countries. So when you got here, how difficult was it to make friends, to meet people? Do you have any tips for mingling? And like, maybe if you're introverted, how can you make friends?
So at Dartmouth, we start out with first year trips, which is like a 4-day like excursion in the woods, basically, with a group of like 6 to 8 other freshmen and then 2 upperclassmen leaders, which is like really interesting, especially if you're like me and you're like from a urban area and don't go hiking very much. But I actually had a really positive trips experience. I went on like an intermediate hiking trip and got super close with like my trippies and my trip leaders, which was really positive for me because I didn't have to worry about like who I was going to get my first lunch on campus with or who I was going to talk about classes with.
Going off what Sophia said, we also have like week-long trips the first week of school. It definitely was very helpful to have like that group of 10 that, you know, you spend an entire week with, and then you go back to campus and it's just someone that you know that you wouldn't have otherwise, because they try to like make them super diverse and from different colleges, different hometowns. So that was really good. Also, I made the mistake of not joining any clubs, and I think at Princeton, from what I've heard, so I'm on the water polo team, so that definitely helped with like friends right at the beginning. But for people who aren't on teams or don't have that immediate group of friends, joining some sort of club, whether it be, you know, like an art club or some sort of business club, they definitely get close, and that provides you with those friends. And I mean, I wish I joined a club when I first came to Princeton, but I mean, I definitely did have my team, which helped. But
yeah, I remember when I came to Brown, I came early for pre-orientation. So for international students, they have a international mentoring program. So it's just, you come like 4 days or like a week earlier than everyone else, and you have your own round of orientation. And you do everything that everyone else does in orientation. So it's just, except it's just like 300-400 of you in the class, or however many there may be. I think it's 17% at Brown. And it was great. Like I'd met so many people who had lived in so many countries from all around the world. And I had so much fun in those 3 or 4 days that by the time actual orientation came, like I didn't want to go to like our ice cream social, because I was like, I will just go and hang out with the friends I already made. But I would definitely encourage, like, freshman year I feel like is the only time where everyone coming to college is as vulnerable as everyone, in the sense that they're worried that they don't have friends, and everyone's kind of just like trying to find who they gel with. So I feel like freshman year is unique in the sense that you can talk to anyone about anything without it being weird. But I feel like by the time you're a senior and you just like turn to someone, people are more hesitant to do it, I feel like. But freshman year, everything is game.
Yeah, and I feel like another place a lot of people meet each other is their freshman halls. At least at Penn, like the quad is where most of the freshmen live. It's the freshman dorms, and people like have a lot of pride for their halls. Like even senior year, they're like really close and like have reunions like every year. But for me, I lived in a building called King's Court, which is completely out of the way. Tom's making a face because it sucks. We're the only building that didn't have air conditioning. And I actually found it kind of hard to like meet people who lived in the quad, because like you would be like walking in the quad and see people going out and just kind of like tag along, and that didn't happen in my building. So if I could go back, I would have applied to transfer to the quad, because I feel like your freshman hall can make a really big impact on your freshman year.
Yeah, kind of similar to that. Like Yale has like residential colleges, which is all like you stay in them for 4 years, and then it's all like random pairing. And then we have like the first year counselor, and then we have those groups. So I would definitely say like that group with my first year counselor was like where I got most of my friends, because there are people that I saw every day for like orientation and all of that first semester, and I'm still like really close friends with a lot of them. But it was definitely like a good place to start if you don't know anyone.
Yeah, Columbia doesn't really have residential colleges. We have like 3 like freshman only dorms, which kind of builds community. But another thing that we have is the first week of school, all the freshmen come. It's called NSOP, which is like a 1-week orientation program. And I think NSOP is really important because, you know, I think as it was mentioned earlier, you know, you have 1,000, 1,500 freshmen coming to campus. Most of them don't really know anybody. So it's really important during that first day, during that first week, to, even if you're introverted, kind of like I was, to meet as many people as possible. You don't necessarily have to be friends with everyone, but like widening your net so that you can find, you know, different people that have similar interests.
Definitely take advantage of the vulnerability of everyone coming in from freshmen. Like the first few weeks, it's like kind of the prime time where everyone's willing to just like go up to a stranger and be like, hey, can I sit here? And it's like, yeah, so like tell me about your life, you know. I would say that's definitely, you know, everyone's probably just as nervous as you are, so don't be afraid to go up and talk to someone, and be friendly and be, you know, having a conversation. I would also say if you're introverted, maybe, you know, the Facebook groups or the group chats before coming might also be a good way to kind of talk to people. Like I was saying, people would send me messages, and a girl who sent me a message just to say hi is still one of my close friends still today. So I think that's definitely an option to go to as well.
Yeah, pre-orientation programs are definitely a plus because you're doing the same thing with these people and bonding over whatever the work is that you're doing for an extra week before you even get on, you know, into orientation or whatever it is. So definitely pre-orientation programs. But you have to think about like how many amazing people are on campus. You just have to be out there talking to people. Like everybody's looking for friends. You might be thinking, how do I make friends? They're thinking the same thing, right? So just go and have a conversation. Freshman year is the best time. Like we've said, the vulnerability, people are all open to conversation, but just be interested in getting to know people's stories because it'll be really inspiring and, you know, amazing to see what different backgrounds and stories and missions people have coming to the same school that you're at, you know?
So my next question, I'm going to give an example first before I say the question. But for me, my freshman year, to make a lot of friends, I would go to a party. And at the party, it was so weird. I felt like a little boy, but I would go around and ask girls for their numbers. So if there's somebody that was dancing really hard or like I was really vibing with at the party, I'd be like, hey, what is your number? Let's get lunch. And I think at Penn, a lot of people will say, let's get lunch and not actually mean it. But I would take Sundays and call them networking Sundays and text every single number I got from the party and set up a lunch for every single day of the week. So I was always eating with new people, always making friends. Do you guys have any examples of how you went out of your way to make sure you made friends? And like if you had any like catchphrases like let's get lunch, or like is there anything that you did specifically in order to meet people?
Yeah, I think something that people talk about, I mean with freshmen on Brown's campus at least, is that you can tell when on like a Friday night or a Saturday night if like a group of people are freshmen because, well, they're in like a pack. They like freshmen only run in packs. So I very much just whenever I would go out Friday or Saturday, I would only go out alone and I would like hop from places just by myself so that I wouldn't be like tied to a friend group or like a group of friends because they'd feel obligated to just move with each other. So I felt like a lot more independence and being able to just like jump by myself and it just let me meet a lot more people.
Yeah, Dom, I did the same thing as you with like going to parties and just like socializing with people. But if you're not a party person and you're like not in a super social environment all the time, you can still definitely ask people to get lunch. Like I think it's like the same thing at Dartmouth where like people say, let's get lunch all the time. And it turns into something that's not as genuine because they just say it like as like a, hey, how are you? Okay, I made an effort, like bye. But definitely like if you're working with someone in class or you have a mutual friend, that's like a really great way to make a connection is just to like ask someone to get lunch at a specific time so they know you're serious. And then outside of that, also like going to like pre-games or kickbacks or just like having a group of your friends over and having them invite some of their friends is a great way to kind of like mix and meet different people that aren't necessarily in your immediate circle.
And also study groups, right? Study groups of people and jumping from group to group, or one group is doing this, you know, practice test or whatever. That was useful for us at Harvard. But definitely, like, whenever there's someone that you are kind of interested in, or you feel like you want to get to know them better, like, I think actually like taking the time to really schedule that either in that moment or taking, like networking Sundays, write down those names in a note and literally just text them like that night or the next day and actually be on it, because it also means a lot when you're like, hey, let's get lunch. And then you're the only person that actually texts them to get lunch. Right. And that can kind of boost that little friendship as well.
I think one way I made a lot of friends was just on the first day of a class, sitting next to someone and going like, hey, I'm Laura, nice to meet you, from California. And just making that little connection there. You have a mutual class together, getting their number, because you can study with them. As someone said, study groups are definitely a way to meet friends.
I wasn't necessarily that extroverted as a person when I first went to school. And actually, I guess in high school and middle school, I had dedicated a lot of my life to a sport, to basketball. And college was the first time that I wasn't playing a sport full time. So actually a place where I met a lot of cool people and like-minded people was going to our rec center and playing pickup. And just within situations like that, because you'll enter the gym or enter wherever and not know a single person, but in those type of situations, you're thrust on a team, and you have to meet people just so that, you could win the game. But through that, you make a lot of relationships. So if you have more niche interests, try to go to places where people are doing those type things, and you'll find friends.
To your question about did you have a catchphrase? So I wouldn't call this my catchphrase, but something I think I said a lot freshman year is if I saw someone out at a party a lot, you could ask them oh, do you want to go out together next weekend? Or do you want to split an Uber to go to this downtown or something like that? So I feel that's a pretty common thing that people ask each other.
Yeah, I remember one Saturday night I was going through a dorm, and I remember being quite drunk, and I remember seeing on someone's whiteboard outside their door saying free cookies, and I just knocked on their door, and I was like, yo, can I get a cookie? And I just started talking it up with them. I don't really remember how much I spoke to them, but apparently I was quite the character, and it ended up with me just leaving my phone number or Instagram handle somewhere in their room. And I met I probably met 8 people that day, and I think I'm probably still good friends with 3 or 4 of them today. So
kind of to go into what this whole call is about anything you wish that you knew your freshman year now, I'm going to give 2 of mine first, and then feel free whoever wants to go next. But mine's kind of the opposite of Sovit's, where I was let's party. I'm going to remember the memories more than the grades. Studying for the test is not as important as having fun. And I kind of think the opposite, being in Wharton and a business major, is if you don't have a 3.5, internships are not going to look at you. So to me, I can't remember what happened at the party. I can't remember the conversations I had with my friends, but I see my GPA every day. So when I go to apply, I know that the grades kind of affected my chances of getting in or not. So I would suggest too, depending on your major, of course, and your school, because Brown's a little different, but to make sure that you are valuing your grades and studying for your tests. And then secondly, kind of what Addis brought up, you can have an internship your freshman year, and that can lead you to have a job at the end of your 4 years, which I wasn't aware of. And I ended up studying doing research abroad my freshman year instead of an internship. And a lot of my friends already have full-time offers for when they graduate. So I would take advantage of that as well. So whoever else wants to add anything, feel free.
I definitely went into school with the attitude that I'd get school done, academic side, and I'm mostly there to, meet friends, have a great experience. Because, a lot of my friends were going to schools Boulder and U of A and USC, where they just get to have fun all the time, basically. And I was yeah, I can do that too. I'll be fine. Turns out it was not fine. I definitely had a rough transition, just academically, not necessarily socially. I thought I was a little bit nervous for the East Coast, because it's definitely a different vibe than the West Coast. Yeah, I guess I would just say make sure to get on your time management as early as possible, because once you dig a hole, after midterms, you really can't, especially your first semester, first midterms, you can't really get out of that hole. It's harder. And I think especially if you join clubs, if you join extracurriculars, I was an athlete, I am an athlete, and I had to figure out how to time management how to time manage, right away. Didn't necessarily get good at it until maybe the end of freshman year. Probably still not good at it. But the point is, like, as long as you're trying to, plan out your weeks, plan out your days even, it definitely helps.
I would say that after probably my first semester of freshman year, I was like, damn, like college is crazy. It's never going to end. Just know that it ends. And that is something that I would say, just make sure you seize every single day. And whenever you feel like you're too tired or you have too much to do, and it's a Friday or a Saturday and you can't go out, you're wrong. You should go out.
I wish we went to the same university. Like, you're so fun.
It's the thing is, the thought process behind it is I have to work for the rest of my life anyway. I cannot have as much fun as I can in these 4 years than I can at, I think, any point in time in my life. I mean, and if you can, that's great. I really hope you reach that stage. But as of now, what I know is that this age range, 18 to 22, 23, is generally the peak of our existence. Like, we look the best at this age. We feel the best at this age. We have the most time, energy. Money is generally the struggle at this point. But like, this is the time to, I feel like, this just me personally. Yeah.
I agree a lot because, we're at school, and part of being at school is making sure that you do well at the actual school part. But my advice would actually be not to consume yourself so much in school, because, I personally think, if you graduate with a 4.0 but didn't really meet a lot of people, you're going to be in a worse position than if you graduated with a 3.5, 3.3 and met a ton of people, expanded your network, were open to a bunch of opportunities. I think that's probably for me, the most important part of college beyond the academics is making sure that you're having as many new experiences as possible, because right now we're just like in 4 years of pretty much complete freedom on our parents' dimes for the most part. So, make sure that you're open to things and that you're not necessarily consuming 100% of your time into school and into making sure that, you have the 4.0 or that you're doing the absolute best.
I kind of have different, perspectives from some of you guys on school. For me, academics have been surprisingly one of my favorite parts of college. Like, I feel like I've learned so many valuable things in my classes that like I can apply to my life, and that honestly have like changed my like views on how I see the world. And I think my classes are so interesting, and I am like so passionate about so many of them. And part of that is that like Dartmouth is liberal arts, and I think a lot of y'all are as well. But that kind of gives you the opportunity to like explore and really figure out what you want. So my advice for anyone going to Dartmouth freshman year would be like, don't waste time during your first year of college taking classes that you're not passionate about and that you're not super interested in. Like, there's no point in taking a biology class just because you feel like you should continue your biology education if you don't actually like feel passionate about biology or like want to go into that. And like, I definitely wasted time taking classes that I just felt like a college student like should take instead of classes that I'm genuinely interested in. And I wish that I like had those credits back and could take some of the classes that like are in my major that I won't have time to get around to. So yeah, that like I feel like you shouldn't feel like dread or like boredom when you think about your classes. Like, you should be enthusiastic about them. And then the other thing is there's not like a singular like Ivy League student identity or like a singular Dartmouth student identity. And I think that's a problem that a lot of us have when we start college, is that we think that a Dartmouth student looks like this or a Penn student looks like this, and that's like who we have to embody, and we kind of have to like fit that role or like not fit in. And I think that's where a lot of our imposter syndrome comes from. But there are multiple Dartmouth identities in the same way that I'm sure that's true for all of your schools. And like, if you're not seeing those people reflected around you, it's because like you haven't met those people yet. It doesn't mean they're not there or that you can't like be your most authentic self at your school. So I would say like, don't compromise. Don't think that you have to have a timeline. Don't think that you like have to be doing certain things or like kind of like fitting into like the same like actions and like levels of maturity as your classmates. Like you're definitely still your own compass and your own person in college.
Bouncing off that, I will say that coming into Brown, I wanted to go to law school. And I feel like if I went to Harvard or Princeton, I definitely still would want to be going to law school. Whereas I feel like Brown in particular allowed me to like see a lot of people who were pushing, like who were striving for like really niche creative ambitions, that it gave me the confidence to lean into that, something that I had kind of like pushed away my whole life. So I definitely think I'm a different person than I would have been if I went to any other of the Ivy Leagues, but I am very thankful for it.
Wait, so what do you want to do now again?
I want to do comedy. I want to write for TV shows.
I love that. That is great.
What I wish I knew my freshman year. There's two things that I wish I knew, and they lead me into something else that I think is super important to think about. The two things I wish I knew was that you are able to do everything that you want to do. Like if you want to do it, you can do every single thing. And people talk about you only get to pick 2 of the 3, whatever those things are. You can do every single thing that you want to do. The other thing I learned is that you don't have to do every single thing that you want to do. And really what those two things come down to me for, it's a quote that I've learned a lot from, and it's been very powerful for me and for a lot of people that I'm close to. And it's a key. I'm going to give you guys a key to everything. If you think about this anytime, you got to think, and you think about this quote, it's going to be the key to whatever it is. The quote is, "You live and die by the decisions you make." Now, let me say that one more time so you guys can make sure you take that in. You live and die by the decisions you make. And what that means is, right, you're absolutely right. You live and die by the decision you make to either study for this test versus going out to see your friends, or going out to see your friends but not reading this extra chapter of this book, right? You live and die by the decisions you make. But also, you live and die by the decisions you make, right? Like if you make the decisions and it's your life and you're living it. So if I make a decision that I'm done doing this work for the night, and I have these other priorities, or I have these other things that I want to do or that I need to do, instead of staying up super late to read a book, if I want to go to sleep because I need that for my mental sanity, right? Like you live and die by the decisions you make. So don't, it's your life, it's your decisions. You live with it, but don't try to live by any expectation or standard you have, because it's your life and you're the one who has to live with it, right?
Can I just add in, unrelated to that, but freshman year, like everyone's different, but freshman year for me was not, or freshman fall at least, was not the time to prove to myself that I could like handle all of the hardest classes at the same time, because I really tried to like challenge myself freshman year to like prove that I could do it. And it like was exhausting, and I took classes that I shouldn't have taken together. And I would really advise freshmen, even if you don't know upperclassmen, like any like acquaintance that you have, please ask them about the classes that you're signing up for ahead of time, because there's like no point in getting halfway through a term, being stressed out and realizing you're going to have to drop a class.
Yeah, and I think in general, just with your upperclassmen, right? So people in their professional careers, they seek out mentors that are older than them and maybe have gone down similar career paths and have that expertise. I would suggest doing the same thing in school. Seek out, when you come to school as a freshman, seek out juniors, seniors, maybe some sophomores, same major as you, or maybe same department as you, that have taken the classes that you will take, and learn from them, right? You're going to get advice, like Sophia said, about classes you should take, classes you should probably avoid, teachers you should take, teachers you should avoid, that type thing. but they can also put some perspective behind like career choices and career goals and internships and that type of thing, and how to position yourself for different opportunities that could arise.
Yeah, adding on to Addison and Sophia, I think I would say, I'm a first-gen student as well, and I think I was known like all my high school and like my junior high, everything, just, go to school, be good, like study, study for your tests, and like that was all basically that I thought I would have to do. And that's kind of the same mindset that I kind of went into freshman year. I was like, okay, just study, you'll be fine. I think like we're at Ivy League schools, like they offer so many resources, take advantage of your education, like get the most out of it. I know like for O week, like there's a lot of like boxes that we have to check off that Cornell's, or at least for me, like Cornell was trying to let us know about all these resources that they had. And I think a lot of freshmen was just kind of pushed it aside and just saw it as just, an annoying thing we had to complete. But I think I took that perspective as well. But, go to like career services, they'll help you. That's what they're there for. Go to, talk, like Sophia was saying, talk to your upperclassmen, join clubs, talk to your advisors. Like that's what they're there for. And, you got into an Ivy League school, like take advantage of the resources that they're giving you.
Yeah, I would also say that they're like up until my sophomore or junior year, I was not, there were some programs that were just not brought to my attention, or like you have to like go out of your way and look for them. So for example, one of them at Brown is a storytelling fellowship, something that I only found out after the application deadline happened, something that was very interesting. So essentially you would spend the entire year creating projects and like telling different stories through different mediums, and you're getting paid for it. Like you're getting paid to do this. You're a fellow. So I would say, yeah, like everyone's saying, find a mentor, like talk to people, find a page where you can see what kind of funding opportunities you can have, what kind of grants you can get. There's a lot of funding for undergrads, and it often goes unused or overlooked.
My advice is that all of our institutions, none of them are perfect. And I think while you're on campus and while you're here, you have the opportunity to leave your campus, leave your community better than it was when you came in. So I think the sooner that you open your eyes and like acknowledge the flaws or the issues of your school, the more time you have to work on them and address them. So I guess my advice is don't drink the Kool-Aid too much. Like it's great to have school spirit, but like there are issues at all of our schools and you have the ability to make it better.
I would also just say, kind of on a different note, but like look out for each other, look out for your classmates and your friends, and make sure that you're not like leaving people alone. And I know for girls especially, like party environments can be scary depending on like who's in charge of them and what like the power dynamics are. So like my freshman year, I thought it was perfectly normal to go to off-campus sports houses. But then I realized after we have like a 6-week freshman frat ban where like freshmen can't go to the frats yet because they're like supposed to like mingle like within their year. And so looking back, I realized right after the freshman frat ban ended, so did all of those off-campus sports house parties, and they like weren't normal. They kind of just were luring freshman girls in. So my advice for that would like just be cautious, like make sure that you have like strong friend groups and like you're communicating with your friend groups. And then also like I know a lot of girls my freshman year like were very like into upperclassmen boys, but like if he's 4 years older than you, like also just like be careful, because that's like a power dynamic that not everyone is like ready for.
In your respective environments, whether you're in the city like me or out in the woods, go explore your environments. And, something for me every Friday, I guess a tradition that I've had, since I was young is going out to have pizza on Friday nights. And that was a really important tradition that I continued on after going to school. And it gave me an opportunity to go to different neighborhoods in New York City,
Definitely second that, like exploring. We're 40 minutes from New York, take a train up for a weekend. A lot of people do that for fun. Or even just, I once went on like a walk in these like woods, like 30 minutes outside of Princeton, because I think I like finished midterms early, and it was just like fun to get outside, because definitely Princeton can be a little bit of a bubble.
I would say, especially if you're in the Northeast and there is weather and it rains a lot, like it does in Providence, really enjoy the time outside in the fall, like September, like the springtime, the fall, just being outside and enjoying the sun while you can, because in Providence, like once you hit like October, November, the sun sets at like 4 p.m. Seasonal depression is real. Try and learn to study outside. Like find a nice bench, find a nice table, and make the most of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Harvard also has a Harvard bubble, but like Boston has over 50 different universities and colleges, so don't do that. Don't do the Harvard bubble thing. Get out, go travel. You can take a bus to New York. If you're trying to go to Harvard, or if you're trying to be out in Boston, just like explore.
I would say that, yeah, like definitely there is a bubble. Like we've all said at our own schools, and it's important to be like mindful. Yale has like a history of kind of like taking advantage of New Haven. So definitely like going out and like kind of looking to do like things that you can to like help people in the city. Like at Yale, there's like Dwight Hall, which is like, it's an organization that connects you with clubs or nonprofits that you can work with within the community. Like I teach, like public health education at New Haven high schools, and that's been like one of my most meaningful things I've done like at college. So that's like really good.
Yeah, going off that, and I think it, it connects back to the point about, realizing that there's faults in your school. Columbia University is the second biggest landowner in New York City. And one of the problems about Columbia is that they're gentrifying Harlem. And I think a lot of students, and I'm sure the administrators, sometimes are blind to that and don't want to take time to realize that. And I think as a student, wherever you are, you kind of have an obligation also to stand up for what you believe in. So in a case like, I have, make sure, you're going to Harlem, make sure you're supporting, people in the neighborhoods around your school and outside your school, because those people, by living in those neighborhoods, have directly or indirectly helped you, and helped your school survive. So make sure that you're cognizant of different neighborhoods, different areas around your school, and that you're also, exploring them.
Advice that I always give to freshmen is before you start school, make a list of like areas where you want to branch out and where you want to like grow. And then also make a list of like boundaries that you have for yourself that you wouldn't want to cross, because it is easy to fall into peer pressure. And those are things that you can just like consult later during your time in school to make sure that like you're respecting the boundaries that you've set for yourself. But also like embrace change and know that you're going to change in college. Like it's going to happen, and it can be for the better or it can be from the worst, but either way you're going to learn from it and you're going to come out who you're like supposed to be. I know that sounds cliche. So yeah, I would say just check in with yourself, make sure that you're doing well and that you're happy with like where you are, who you're surrounding yourself with, what you're studying, etc.
Yeah, I would say, like Sophia said, definitely embrace the change, but also be prepared for when you see your friends from home and they tell you that you're not the same. Be prepared for that, because that will happen.
So that concludes the kickback for today. Thank you to all of you guys for being here. These same 8 cast members are going to come back again to tell us about their all-time favorite memory of freshman year, and also answer any questions that you guys leave in the comment section for them, for their school specifically, or for a specific cast member. Otherwise, thanks guys. Bye. If you enjoyed this video today, please make sure to smash that subscribe button and press the bell to get notified when I post, which is 2 to 3 times a week. Make sure to follow me on Instagram so you don't miss out on the opportunity to call in. Otherwise, I will catch you guys at the next kickback. Bye!